Atlanta 9:47 p.m. The city is doing that thing it does best, glittering like it's trying to sell you something. From the 42nd floor of the Sovereign penthouse, Peachtree Street looks like a string of Christmas lights someone forgot to take down. I'm standing in front of the full-length mirror in a silk robe that costs more than most people's rent, holding a wedding invitation, the color of midnight and old money. Navy cardstock. Gold foil crest. Embossed calligraphy so perfect it hurts. Mr. and Mrs. Gregory Harper cordially request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter Madison Elizabeth Harper to Grayson Ellis Whitlock, Saturday, the 22nd of October, the Piedmont Room and Garden Tent, Atlanta, Georgia. I flip it over like it's going to bite me. On the back in Maddie's looping script, can't wait to see you there, big sis. It's been forever. XOXO, forever. 9 years, 3 months, and 11 days to be exact. I set the invitation on the marble vanity next to my phone. The screen lights up with a push notification. Forbes 30. Under 30 healthcare, Riley Harper Caldwell named Hasson. I almost laugh. Almost. Let me ask you something straight up the way, only a southern girl who clawed her way out of Cobb County can. If your parents sat you down at 18 and said clear as sweet tea, Riley, you're not college material. We're putting every dollar into your sister because she's the one who's going places, and then paid for her Lexus at 16, her sorority dues, her rent on West Ponce, her everything, while you worked the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A in the pouring Georgia rain just to keep the lights on. Would you RSVP yes to her wedding invitation 9 years later? Would you walk back into the room where they still call you the family cautionary tale? Would you put on heels that cost more than their mortgage payment and smile while they whisper? Poor Riley. At least she finally found a man to take care of her. Because that's the question I've been turning over in my head for the last 48 hours. Flash. I'm 18, standing in our kitchen in Marietta. The smell of pot roast and the sound of SEC football on the TV in the den. I slide the acceptance packet across the table. University of Georgia full tuition honors scholarship, go Dogs, in red and black. I'm shaking because I know what's coming. Dad doesn't even look up from his plate. We're not wasting money on someone who's just gonna drop out and get married anyway. Flash. I'm 16, watching Mom hand Maddie the keys to a white Lexus RX on her birthday, pink bow, the size of Texas on the hood. Maddie squeals, hugs her, posts it on Instagram before the engine's even warm. I'm in the background holding a Target name tag, counting tips in my head because I need new shoes without holes. Flash. I'm 19, soaked to the bone, walking 2 miles along Powers Ferry Road because the bus stopped running. Water in my shoes, mascara running, Chick-fil-A visor plastered to my forehead. I'm crying so hard I can barely see the headlights, but I keep walking. Because quitting isn't an option when you have exactly $11,400 to your name and a studio apartment in Athens with your name on the lease. Back to now. I pick the invitation up again, run my thumb across the raised lettering like I'm reading Braille. My husband Ethan leans in the doorway behind me, arms crossed, watching. He's still in scrubs from the or emery across the chest, dark hair, a little messy from the cap. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't have to. We've had this conversation in glances for 2 days. I turn around. Tell me again why I'm doing this. He smiles soft, the way only a Charleston boy who grew up with old money and new manners can. Because you're Riley freaking Harper Caldwell. And some chapters you don't close from the outside. You walk in, look them dead in the eye, and close them yourself. I exhale. The city keeps sparkling like it's rooting for me. Tomorrow night, Madison Elizabeth Harper is getting married in the most over-the-top wedding Atlanta has seen since the last Real Housewives finale. And her big sister, the one they threw away like yesterday's newspaper, is going to be there. In the front row. With receipts. So tell me, internet. Would you go? Because I'm about to find out what happens when the family failure walks in wearing 9 years of receipts and a dress that says I didn't just survive. I built an empire. See you at the wedding. I grew up in a brick ranch house on a cul-de-sac in Marietta, Georgia, the kind of neighborhood where everybody's dad had a pickup truck and everybody's mom had a monogrammed tote bag. White columns on the porch street. A Gustin Grass dad obsessed over, and a mailbox that still read the Harpers in UGA red and black. Dad Greg Harper owned Harper & Sons Construction. Not the skyscraper kind downtown, but the reliable suburban kind that added bonus rooms in East Cobb and got invited to every neighborhood cookout. Mom Lauren sold real estate part-time for Harry Norman, which mostly meant Sunday open houses and a closet full of Lily Pulitzer dresses. There were 2 daughters and the universe decided early which one was the golden retriever, and which one was the rescue nobody asked for. Madison Elizabeth Harper Maddie arrived 2 years after me, blonde curls already forming, blue eyes already sparkling like she knew the camera loved her. By kindergarten she was the kid teachers put in the front row for every class photo. Cheerleader, by 6 homecoming court by freshman year. She had the kind of effortless pretty that made adults say bless her heart even when she was being awful. I was the other kind. Tall awkward glasses, before it was cool, always reading or taking something apart to see how it worked. Straight A's since first grade, AP everything the kid teachers emailed mom about for science Olympiad and governor's honors. But I was quiet. I didn't light up rooms. I lit up whiteboards. And in our house, lighting up rooms mattered more. It started small. Maddie got the new iPhone the day it dropped every single year. I used a hand-me-down iPhone 6 with a cracked screen and duct tape until senior year. Mom's excuse: Riley doesn't care about that stuff. Maddie has a social life. Maddie got flown to Destin for senior week spring break with 6 cheer friends. Dad paid for the condo, the gas, the fake IDs nobody ever used. I fundraised $400 to go on the junior year biology trip to the Okefenokee swamp. I sold so many boxes of Krispy Kreme I still can't smell glaze without wanting to cry. Maddie got $2,000 of SAT prep with a private tutor who drove a Range Rover and called himself the Score Whisperer. I studied on Khan Academy in the public library after my Publix shift headphones on, praying nobody kicked me out at 9 p.m. The results came in on a Tuesday in March. I opened my college board account in the guidance office and almost threw up 1,510, 760 English, 750 math. Top 1%. My counselor actually cried. Maddie opened hers in the kitchen surrounded by mom, dad, and her best friend Kaylee on speaker. 1,130. She burst into tears. Mom immediately started Googling SuperScore and test optional schools. By dinner they were celebrating because with SuperScore, she's basically at 1,290, y'all. That night Dad raised his sweet tea glass. To Maddie, Georgia, Southern's lucky to have her. Full ride to the best parties in Statesboro. I waited for someone to mention my score. Nobody did. Mom did pat my hand though. Riley honey, you'll figure something out. You're so smart with computers. Maybe tech school. Tech school. That was the first time I realized the rules weren't just different for us. The rules didn't even apply to me. There were 100 little cuts after that. Maddie got a Lexus RX for her 16th birthday. I got a $12 Target cake and a "we're so proud" that felt like a participation trophy. Maddie joined Kappa Delta and Mom flew to Athens every bid day with a trunk full of Lily and a cooler of champagne. I worked doubles at Chick-fil-A so I could afford the $900 lab fees for honors biology. Maddie failed calculus senior year, and Mom cried harder than Maddie did, then paid some Georgia Tech kid $75 an hour to tutor her until she got a B. I took AP Calc BC, got a 5, and nobody even asked what it meant. Dad's favorite line became Maddie's the people person. Riley's the brainy one. Translation: Maddie's the investment. Riley's the write-off. I kept waiting for it to balance out. For someone to notice the quiet kid in the corner had a 4 unweighted, was president of Mu Alpha Theta, had already taught herself Python and built an air quality tracking app for extra credit. But in the Harper house, charisma was currency, and I was bankrupt. By senior year I had accepted it. I would claw my way into college the way I clawed my way into everything else, alone, bleeding and silent. What I didn't know yet was they weren't done choosing. They still had one final devastating vote to cast. And it was coming on a Thursday night over pot roast and the sound of the Braves game in the background. Thursday night, late April, Marietta, Georgia. The air smelled like charcoal and cut grass because Dad had the big green egg going for no reason other than it was Thursday and the Braves were on. Mom was in one of her good moods. She'd just closed a house in Vinings, so the table was set with the nice plates and there was actually a bottle of wine open instead of the usual box from Target. I waited until the commercials. That's the rule in our house, nobody talks over baseball. I slid the thick red and black envelope across the table like I was passing a live grenade. Dad. Mom. I got into UGA. Honors program. Full tuition scholarship. Everything except room and board. Silence. Fork paused halfway to Dad's mouth. Mom's wine glass stopped an inch from her lips. I kept going because if I stopped I'd lose my nerve. It's about $9,000 a year for housing and meal plan. I already have $4,000 saved from Chick-fil-A and Publix. If y'all could help with the other $5, Dad put his fork down. Slowly. Like a man laying down a winning poker hand. Riley, he said, and my stomach dropped because I knew that tone. It was the same one he used when subcontractors screwed up a foundation pour. We need to talk about money. I felt my hands start to shake under the table. Mom jumped in, voice syrupy sweet. Honey, this is wonderful news. We're so proud of how hard you worked. Past tense. Worked. I heard it. Dad wiped his mouth with a napkin. Your mother and I have been talking. College is a big investment. A huge investment. And investments need to go where they're gonna pay off. I swallowed. I got a full ride, Dad. The only thing left is I'm not finished. He cut me off the way he cut off employees who dared talk back. Maddie's 2 years behind you. She's already got early interest from Georgia, Southern Kennesaw, maybe even Georgia, if she brings those grades up. She's got the personality colleges want. Sororities. Networking. Future husbands with good last names. I looked at Maddie. She was picking at her salad, smirking into her phone under the table. Dad kept going. We've decided to put every extra dollar we have into the child who's going places. That's Madison. The room tilted. I actually gripped the edge of the table to stay upright. Mom reached over and patted my hand like I was a dog that just got scolded. Riley, honey, some girls are meant to go to college and be doctors and CEOs. Some girls are meant to marry well. That's not a bad thing. Look at Mrs. Whitfield down the street. Married a cardiologist, never worked a day in her life. I stared at her. You think I'm going to drop out and... What? Mary Rich Mom smiled like she'd just solved world hunger. Exactly. You're so pretty when you fix yourself up. And smart boys love that. Maddie finally looked up, eyes sparkling with victory. You can always go to Georgia Perimeter, she said, using the old name for Georgia State's Perimeter College like it was a punchline. It's like 30 minutes away. You can live at home and save money. I felt the tears coming and hated myself for it. Dad, I tried one last time, voice cracking. This isn't even about the money. It's $9,000 a year. You spent more than that on Maddie's cheer uniforms. Dad leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. Cheerleading teaches leadership. Discipline. Teamwork. Those are life skills, Riley. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out sharp and ugly. Leadership, I said. Maddie can't even spell leadership. Maddie gasped. Mom gasped louder. Dad's face went red. That's enough. I stood up so fast my chair scraped across the hardwood. You know what? Fine. Keep your money. I'll figure it out myself. I started to walk out. Mom called after me, Riley, sit down, we're not done, but Dad's voice cut through everything. We are done. If you want to throw away your future because you're jealous of your sister, that's on you. I stopped in the doorway. Jealous, I turned around. I got into UGA with a full scholarship. Maddie can't even pass pre-calc. Maddie rolled her eyes. God, get over yourself. I looked at my parents, really looked, and realized they weren't even seeing me. They were seeing the version of me they'd already decided I was, the spare. The backup plan. The one who would be fine because I was smart and independent. I went to my room and shut the door. Not slammed. Shut. Like closing a coffin, I sat on my bed and cried until I couldn't breathe. Then I opened my laptop and started searching for apartments in Athens. I could never afford, and jobs that paid more than minimum wage. Through the wall I heard them. Mom on the phone, excited. Yes, hi, this is Lauren Harper. We want to put down the deposit on the standard at Athens for Madison Harper, fall of 2019. Yes, the 2-bedroom with the balcony. We'll pay the full year up front. Dad laughing, that's my girl. Future Kappa Delta president right there. Maddie squealing, oh my God, y'all are the best. I put my headphones on and turned the volume up until my ears hurt. That night I made a promise to the 18-year-old girl crying on a twin bed with UGA stickers on the wall. They chose. Now, watch me choose louder. I didn't know how yet. I just knew I would never ask them for another damn thing. And 9 years later, when that navy and gold envelope showed up in my mailbox, I finally understood. Some debts don't get paid in money, they get paid in presents. I'm coming to the wedding, Mom and Dad. And I'm bringing every single day you said I wasn't worth investing in. Hope the ballroom's big enough. The summer I turned 19, Georgia decided to be cruel. Humidity so thick you could chew it. Thunderstorms every afternoon at 4 o'clock like clockwork, and me working 3 jobs that paid just enough to remind me how poor I was. 5:00 a.m. Chick-fil-A on Roswell Road. I wore the red polo like armor, smiling through the window at people who ordered 50 sweet teas before the sun was fully up. My pleasure tasted like rust in my mouth by week 3. 2:00 p.m. Target in the town center. Red shirt, khaki pants, name tag that said Riley in crooked laminate. I stocked shelves. Zone Toys ran register 9 when someone called out. I learned to smile with my teeth only. 1:00 p.m. Holiday Inn Express off Delk Road. I pushed a cart that smelled like bleach and regret stripping beds, scrubbing toilets, folding towels into perfect little squares. Sometimes I found leftover pizza in the rooms and ate it cold in the laundry room so I wouldn't pass out. I slept 4 hours a night, maybe 5 if the storms knocked the power out and the motel manager let us go early. Every dollar went into a Folgers can I kept under the loose floorboard in my bedroom. By August I had $11,400. It wasn't enough for anything except the cheapest studio I could find in Athens, a 320 square foot box above a vape shop on Hawthorne Avenue, 37 minutes from campus if the bus was on time. I enrolled at Athens Technical College first, affordable, no parental income required. Then I applied for every need-based scholarship UGA offered that still needed the FAFSA. I filled out the forms myself, left the parent section blank and prayed. October came. The financial aid office called. Miss Harper, we're going to need your parents' 2017 tax information and signatures. You're under 24. I drove home on my one day off, palms sweating around the steering wheel of my '04 Corolla with the busted AC. The house looked exactly the same, American flag on the porch, Maddie's Lexus in the driveway with a new Kappa Delta decal on the back window. Mom was in the kitchen drinking white wine at 3 p.m. Dad was in his recliner watching ESPN. Maddie was FaceTiming someone on the couch, feet up on the coffee table. We weren't allowed to put feet on when I lived here. I put the FAFSA printout on the counter like I was serving legal papers. I just need signatures. That's it. No money. Just sign, so I can get the Pell Grant and the Hope Scholarship I qualify for. Dad didn't even look up from the TV. We're not signing anything that says we make less than we do. That's fraud, Riley. It's not fraud, I said, voice shaking. You just report your income. The government gives me the aid. Mom set her glass down hard enough to slosh Chardonnay on the granite. Absolutely not. What if someone we know sees that? What if the Whitfields find out we're on government assistance? I laughed. I couldn't help it. You're worried about what Maddie's boyfriend's parents think, but not whether your other daughter eats this semester. Dad muted the TV. Stood up. You made your choice when you walked out of that dinner last year. You wanted to be independent. Be independent. Maddie finally looked up from her phone, smirking. Yeah, Riley. You're like so strong and whatever. You don't need us. I stared at the 3 of them, my family, and felt something inside me snap clean in half. I took the unsigned FAFSA, folded it once and slid it into my back pocket. Fine, I said. My voice didn't even shake anymore. Keep it. That night I packed everything I owned into 2 Target duffel bags and a plastic bin: clothes, laptop, the coffee can with $11 400 inches 20s rubber banded together, the UGA acceptance letter I never threw away. I wrote the note on the back of a Chick-fil-A receipt because it felt right. You wanted independence. You got it. Don't look for me. The sky opened up the minute I stepped onto the porch. Georgia thunderstorm, warm rains, sideways wind, the kind that soaks you in 3 seconds. I didn't have an umbrella. I didn't care. I walked down the driveway past Maddie's Lexus, past the basketball goal Dad never let me shoot on because girls don't play like that, past the mailbox with the stupid red and black letters. Lightning flashed, and for 1 second the whole street lit up like God was taking a picture. I didn't look back. The Corolla started on the 3rd try. I threw my stuff in the back seat and pulled away while the rain hammered the roof like it was trying to keep me there. By the time I hit I-75 South, the tears were gone. By the time I crossed the Jackson County line, I was singing along to whatever was on 94.9, the bull, windows down, rain blowing and tasting freedom and exhaust and possibility. I moved into the studio above the vape shop the next day. The landlord asked for first and last month's rent. I paid in cash. He didn't ask questions. I enrolled in 30 credit hours at Athens Tech and kept 2 of the 3 jobs. I learned the bus schedule by heart. I ate peanut butter sandwiches and drank water from the fountain outside the library. I was broke, exhausted, and completely terrifyingly free. 9 years later, when that navy and gold envelope showed up, I thought about that night. About the rain. About the coffee can. About the girl who walked away with nothing but a receipt note and a promise to herself. She kept the promise. Tomorrow night, she's going back. Not as the girl they threw away. As the woman they never saw coming. Years 1 and 2 were hell wrapped in endless days. I slept in my car 3 times. The first time was when rent was 2 days late and the landlord locked the studio. I parked the Corolla behind the Walmart in Lawrenceville, reclined the seat, all the way used my hoodie as a blanket, set my alarm for 4:30 a.m. so I wouldn't miss my Chick-fil-A shift. The second and third times I already knew exactly which corner of the Athens regional parking deck had no cameras. I learned to live on 29-cent Moroccan ramen, adding the soy sauce packets from Chick-fil-A for flavor. 1 week I ate 21 packs and 1 loaf of Wonder Bread. Daytime work. Nighttime online classes through Athens, Tech, and Georgia Perimeter. I studied in the Holiday Inn laundry room at 2 a.m., sitting on a running dryer for free Wi-Fi. I studied in the car, flashlight clipped to the steering wheel when it got so cold my breath fogged the windshield. I studied until my eyes burned and the words blurred. I stopped crying. Crying burns calories. Year 3, everything started to change, but not in a Disney way. November. I saw a flyer in the UGA Library Health Tech Hackathon, $10,000 first prize free pizza. I went for the pizza. I brought my 2012 MacBook Air with the hinge held together by silver duct tape. I sat alone in the corner of Tate Center and coded a simple app, type 1 diabetes glucose tracking using an old Apple Watch, early low blood sugar alerts. I pulled public research data, wrote it in Swift over 36 hours without sleep. When the judges called Riley Harper first place, I thought they had the wrong name. I walked up in a hoodie that smelled like Fry's hair in a greasy ponytail and took the $10,000 check with shaking hands. The guy handing it over was tall, dark-haired, wearing a white coat embroidered Ethan Caldwell, MS3. He smiled and said, "Your algorithm is brilliant." Coffee. I thought he was joking. Ethan Caldwell turned out to be a third-year med student at UGA, only son of the Caldwell family that has run private hospitals in Charleston since the Civil War. But he never flaunted it. He just asked if I wanted to test the app on real patients, then invited me to join his AI medicine research lab. Within 6 months, Ethan helped me do things I never dared dream. Merit-based scholarships in UGA's computer science department, no parental FAFSA required. Turned me into a teaching assistant for CS $1,315 divided by hour, plus 75% tuition cut. Transferred 62 credits from preventias.com. Athens Tech to UGA for free. I moved into a real 1-bedroom in East Atlanta with a kitchen and windows that weren't duct taped. I still worked, but now only one job, barista at the Starbucks on Glenwood 5 to 9 a.m. shift. I studied like a woman possessed. I slept when I could on lab couches on Ethan's floor, once in a hospital call room when I was shadowing his overnight shift. I graduated in December at 22 and a half, summa cum laude, 3.98 gigapascals, total debt $7,800 for books and lab fees. At commencement I wore a borrowed gown, no family in the stands. Just Ethan and his mom, who drove up from Charleston with flowers and a $25,000 graduation gift check. At 23 I started NexaHealth out of the garage of my $1,200 a month rental house in East Atlanta. The idea was simple: AI that predicts respiratory failure and sepsis in the ICU 6 to 8 hours earlier than doctors. I wrote the first lines of code on a folding table from Goodwill using servers Ethan borrowed from the med school. Ethan introduced me to his dad, chairman of Caldwell Health System in South Carolina. They let us pilot in 3 of their hospitals. Results: 34% lower ICU mortality, 2019 $2 million seed, round from Atlanta Tech Village Angels. I still drove the old Corolla, still wore hoodies, still paid my own way. I never wanted anyone to say I succeeded because of a man. 2020 2023 were sprint years. Series A $18. M Series B $55M. Then in March 2024 we closed Series C $120 million, led by Kleiner Perkins and Tiger Global. Valuation hit $380 million. My name landed at #shown on Forbes 30 under 30 healthcare. CNBC called me the quiet queen of health AI. I bought the Midtown penthouse but kept the duct-taped MacBook in a drawer like a talisman. Through all 5 years I never contacted Marietta. Not one call, not one text. Maddie's Facebook was nothing but Buckhead rooftops, Goyard bags, captions like number corporate baddie, even though she'd switched majors 3 times and still hadn't graduated. I just quietly built an empire. No posts, no location tags, no need for anyone to know. Only Ethan knew I once slept in my car. Only Ethan knew I still kept the Folgers can with the original $11 400 inches as safe, like a lucky charm. And now 9 years after that rainy night I walked out, Maddie's wedding invitation arrived the same day I signed the biggest contract in NexaHealth history, $88 million to roll out our AI across all 42 Piedmont healthcare hospitals. I held the invitation in my hand and looked at the line where plus guest had been crossed out and replaced in Maddie's handwriting, just you is fine. I laughed for the first time in 48 hours. They still thought I was the girl in the red polo covered in ketchup riding the bus, not worth a single dollar of investment. They had no idea that girl died in the rain the night I left Marietta. The woman who survived is wearing Galia Lahav, runs a $380 million company, and is about to walk into her little sister's wedding as the one guest who can cancel their entire future with a single signature. Tomorrow I go back to Georgia. Not for revenge. To prove that when they throw you away, sometimes you grow wings. 5 years flew by in a blur of code, coffee and contracts signed in glass-walled conference rooms, overlooking downtown Atlanta. By 2024, NexaHealth had just closed its Series C $120 million led by Kleiner Perkins and Tiger Global. Valuation $380 million, on paper closer to $500 million if you believe the term sheets already circling for Series D. We had 180 employees, offices on the 38th floor of Bank of America Plaza, and live systems in 42 hospitals across the Southeast. My AI now predicted sepsis 9.2 hours before the first clinical sign, saving roughly 1100 lives a year that we could prove. The rest were just numbers nobody bothered to count. Forbes put me at Hasson on their 30 under 30 healthcare list when I was 27. The photographers shot me on the roof of our building at Sunrise City behind me, arms crossed, no smile. The headline read, "The Quiet Queen of Health AI." I framed it and hung it in the bathroom so I'd never get too comfortable. I never posted any of it. No humble brag LinkedIn updates. No from the garage to the cover of Forbes carousel. My Instagram was private, 12 posts total, mostly photos of Ethan and our dog Cooper. The world found out who I was the same way investors did. Someone Googled, someone whispered, someone paid too much for a meeting. Meanwhile, back in Marietta, time moved differently. Maddie was 26 and still enrolled at UGA. 6 years in. She'd started in journalism, switched to PR, then to general studies when the credits stopped transferring. Her transcripts, which I saw once accidentally when a mutual friend left a portal open, looked like a crime scene. Instagram, though, was flawless. Rooftop brunches at the Buckhead Club, Louis Vuitton, never full, with the tag still dangling, captions like "Building my empire, one latte at a time, number boss babe, number girl boss, number UGA 2025 again." Dad's construction company was struggling. Atlanta's building boom had slowed, and the big commercial contracts went to firms with minority certifications or political connections. Mom sold fewer houses every year and compensated by joining every junior league committee in Cobb County. I knew all this because people still talked. High school friends sent screenshots. My old Chick-fil-A manager texted once a year on my birthday. Aunt Linda forwarded prayer chain emails that somehow always mentioned poor Madison's stress. I never answered. I never reached out. I never even drove down I-75 past the Marietta exit. Some bridges you don't just burn, you dynamite and salt the earth. Ethan and I got married when I was 26 on a Saturday in late October at his family's home on the Battery in Charleston. 40 guests total. Live oaks dripping Spanish moss, oyster roast on the lawn, string quartet playing Vance Joy. I wore a simple Anne Barge lace gown I paid for myself. Ethan's mother cried when she fastened the Caldwell pearls around my neck, 3 generations old, worn by every bride since 1918. My side of the aisle had exactly 6 people, 3 college friends, 2 NexaHealth co-founders, and Ethan's resident who threatened to quit neurosurgery if he missed it. There was one empty chair on my side draped with a single white rose. Ethan squeezed my hand when he saw it. He knew whose ghost it was for. Mom found out 3 weeks later when someone tagged me in a photo. Charleston magazine did a spread on Lowcountry weddings of the year. She called 47 times in one weekend. Left voicemails that started with tears and ended with guilt. Riley, honey, we're family. You can't just cut us out of your wedding. Your sister is devastated. We saw the dress. It was beautiful. We would have helped pay. I listened to exactly one, then blocked the numbers. The only time I came close to breaking was Christmas 2023. Ethan's parents flew us to Aspen. We were on the gondola at 9,000 feet snow, falling soft and silent, and he asked, "Do you ever miss them?" I thought about it for a long time. I miss who I thought they were, I said, not who they showed me they are. He kissed my mitten and didn't ask again. That was the last time the subject came up. Until the navy and gold envelope arrived. I was in the kitchen of the penthouse making coffee when the concierge buzzed up a package. Thick cardstock, gold foil crest, unmistakable. Ethan walked in, saw my face, and went very still. Maddie was getting married. To Grayson Whitlock, son of the executive vice president of Piedmont Healthcare. At the Piedmont room, black tie, 300 guests, estimated cost north of $300,000. On the response card, the number of guests line had been crossed out and replaced in Maddie's handwriting, just Riley is fine. Ethan read it over my shoulder. She thinks you're still single, broke, and driving that Corolla, he said quietly. I laughed short and sharp. She thinks I'm still the version of me she can feel superior to. He put his arms around me from behind, chin on my head. Then let's go give her the updated edition. I turned the invitation over in my hands, feeling the weight of 9 years settle into something dangerous and bright. They never watched me rise. They only heard rumors. Tomorrow night, the rumors end. Tomorrow night I walk in as the woman they refused to invest in, now worth more than every house on our old street combined. And I do it on the arm of the man whose family welcomed me the day mine threw me away. Some stories don't need revenge, they just need receipts. I already have mine laminated. Friday, October 13th, 2:47 p.m. Bank of America, Plaza, 38th floor, Atlanta. The conference room smells like new money and mahogany. 22 people in suits, 4 lawyers, 2 translators for the Japanese investors on Zoom, and me at the head of the table in a black blazer and the same Cartier love bracelet Ethan locked on my wrist the day we closed Series B. The contract is 183 pages thick. Piedmont Healthcare System, 42 hospitals, 11,000 beds, largest private system in Georgia, is handing NexaHealth $88 million over 5 years to roll out our sepsis prediction AI across every ICU in the state. It is the single biggest deal in Georgia health tech history. The executive vice president, Charles Whitlock, tall silver-haired old Atlanta money, slides the final signature page across the table. Pleasure doing business with you, Riley. I sign, Riley Harper Caldwell, founder and CEO. The room erupts in polite applause and champagne flutes nobody asked for. My phone buzzes in my pocket. I ignore it. Charles Whitlock raises his glass. To saving lives and making money doing it. I smile, clink, sip. Inside I'm counting down the hours until I can kick off these heels. The celebration lasts exactly 23 minutes. I'm in the elevator down to the lobby when I finally check my phone. Concierge package for you, Mrs. Caldwell. Hand delivered. No return address. Saturday morning, 9:12 a.m. I'm still in Ethan's Emery t-shirt, barefoot on the heated marble floor of the penthouse kitchen, French press in one hand, navy and gold envelope in the other. The Piedmont room and garden tent. Black tie. 300 guests. Saturday, October 22nd. Madison Elizabeth Harper and Grayson Ellis Whitlock. My stomach flips in a way it hasn't since I was 19. Ethan walks in, hair still wet from the shower, reading glasses low on his nose. Tell me that's not what I think it is. I hand it to him. He flips it over, sees Maddie's handwriting on the RSVP card. Just Riley is fine, and whistles low. Subtle. Real subtle. I open my laptop on the island, pull up LinkedIn, type Madison Harper. Profile picture, Maddie on a yacht in Lake Lanier, hair extensions, blowing champagne, flute tilted. Headline: Head of Patient Experience, Piedmont Healthcare Location, Atlanta, Georgia, joined February 2024, 8 months ago, exactly 2 weeks after her engagement announcement. I stare at the screen until the words blur. Ethan leans over my shoulder. Head of Patient Experience, Piedmont has 18000 employees. That title doesn't even exist in their org chart. I already have my phone out, scrolling contacts I haven't touched in years. Sarah Park answers on the second ring. She and I took CS 4730 together. Now she's a senior data analyst inside Piedmont's IT department. Riley Harper. She squeals. Girl, where have you been? I saw the Forbes thing. Sarah, quick question. Do you know anyone named Madison Harper in patient experience? Silence. Then a snort. No. We don't have a patient experience department. We have guest services and the director is a 55-year-old black lady named Dr. Robinson. Why I put her on speaker. Look up Maddie Harper in the internal directory. Typing. More silence. Then laughter she tries and fails to muffle. There's no Madison Harper in the entire system. Not even a badge scan. Wait. Hold on, someone just sent me her engagement photos in the Slack. Is that the girl dating Grayson Whitlock? Yep, oh honey. She's been coming to executive mixers on Grayson's +1 for months. Everybody just assumed she worked here because she kept saying we when she talked about patient satisfaction scores. We thought she was some consultant. Turns out she's just arm candy with a fake title. I close the laptop. Ethan meets my eyes. So the wedding is at the Piedmont room. The groom's daddy just signed an $88 million deal with you yesterday, and your sister has been pretending to be a Piedmont executive for 8 months. I nod slowly. He grins the slow, dangerous grin that made me fall in love with him in the first place. Well, darlin', he drawls, Charleston thick, looks like we're about to have the most expensive +1 in Georgia history. I pick up the invitation again. 9 years ago they told me I wasn't worth $9 grand a year. Now their entire future is riding on a contract that lives or dies by my signature. I trace the gold foil crest with one finger. RSVP for one it is. See you next Saturday, Maddie. Bring a jacket. Hell's coming with me. Friday night 1147 p.m. The penthouse is quiet except for the low hum of the city 42 floors below and the soft clink of ice in Ethan's bourbon. I'm standing in the walk-in closet that's bigger than my first Athens studio, surrounded by gowns still in garment bags. Ethan leans against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching me like he's been watching me all week, half protective, half proud, entirely calm. I pull the zipper on the Galia Le Havre bag. Champagne gold silk tulle spills out like liquid metal. Off the shoulder, corseted bodice, hand-embroidered crystals that catch every light and throw it back sharper. It cost more than my first year of college would have. I paid cash. The saleswoman at Joan Pillow in Buckhead cried when I walked out in it. Ethan whistles low. That's the one. It's not too much, I ask, suddenly 19 again, afraid I look like I'm trying too hard. He steps behind me, rests his hands on my bare shoulders, meets my eyes in the mirror. Riley, you're the keynote speaker at HIMSS next month. You have a net worth higher than every person in that ballroom combined. You're allowed to look like the woman who built an empire out of nothing. Wear the damn dress. I laugh shaky. I'm not going for revenge. I know, he says softly. We're going as our true selves. Not to prove anything. Just to close the chapter. Close the chapter. I've been repeating it like a mantra all week. I lay the dress across the ottoman and move to the jewelry safe. Ethan's mother sent the Caldwell pearls, but tonight I open the second drawer. The family heirlooms his grandmother left specifically to the woman Ethan chooses. South Sea pearls the size of dimes surrounded by old mine diamonds. Earrings that once belonged to a Charleston governor's wife. A tennis bracelet that could buy the house I grew up in twice over. I clasp the necklace myself. It settles heavy and cool against my collarbone like armor made of history. On the island in the center of the closet I set out tomorrow's weapons laid in a neat row. Black Amex Centurion with my name embossed, the one that has no limit and still startles waiters. Business cards, thick cotton stock embossed in gold, Riley Harper Caldwell, founder and CEO NexaHealth. Valuation $380M, vertical bar Atlanta, vertical bar Charleston, a slim navy leather portfolio with the NexaHealth logo. Blind embossed. Inside the fully executed Piedmont Healthcare Master Services Agreement, $88 million, 5-year term, my signature on every page, and a single cream card in my handwriting. In case anyone asks who I am now. Ethan picks up the card, reads, it smirks. Settle. I'm not reading the room, I say. I'm ending the conversation before it starts. He sets it down, then pulls a small velvet box from his pocket, something he's been hiding all week. Inside, a diamond line bracelet, delicate, modern, the kind that costs more because it looks like it costs nothing. For tomorrow, he says. So when they try to say the jewelry is rented, you can watch them choke on the insurance appraisal. I laugh for real, this time let him fasten it around my wrist. It sits just above the faint scar from the night I burned my arm on the Chick-fil-A fryer in 2018. The scar is almost invisible now. The bracelet makes sure no one misses the contrast. I walk to the full-length mirror, slip into the Gallia, step into the Louboutins I had dyed to match. Hair down, soft waves, no updo, no trying to look like anyone's idea of a CEO. Just me. 28. Tall. Unapologetic. Ethan stands behind me again, this time in a Brioni tux, looking like he was born to ruin bloodlines. He rests his chin on my shoulder. Tomorrow, he says, voice low, you don't owe them a single explanation. Not a smile you don't feel. Not a hug you don't want. You walk in, you dance with me, you drink their expensive champagne, and when they finally realize who you married and what you built, you let them drown in it. I meet his eyes in the mirror. And if Maddie tries the poor Riley routine, he grins slow and lethal. Then we hand her the portfolio and watch her open it in front of 300 people who just paid $25 for a single shrimp. I exhale long and steady. This isn't revenge. Revenge would mean I still care what they think. This is burial. Tomorrow I lay the 19-year-old girl they killed to rest in the middle of their perfect Southern wedding, wearing 8 figures and 9 years of proof that they bet on the wrong daughter. I turn, kiss Ethan once hard. Ready? He asks. I pick up the portfolio, slide it into the slim clutch that costs more than Maddie's wedding shoes. Born ready. The lights of Atlanta blink behind us like they already know the ending. Tomorrow, the Harper family meets Riley Caldwell. And the girl they threw away finally gets the last word. Without saying a single one out loud. Saturday, 7:02 p.m. The Street Regis, Atlanta, Buckhead. The Bentley Bentayga glides under the portico like it owns the night. Valet in white gloves reaches for the handle before we even stop. Ethan steps out first, tucks Brioni cufflinks flashing Caldwell family crests. He circles the car, opens my door, offers his hand. Cameras on phones are already up. Someone whispers, "Is that a celebrity?" I rise out of the car in champagne gold Gallia Le Havre diamonds catching every light in the courtyard. The dress moves like liquid. The whispers triple. We walk the marble steps arm in arm. I feel the eyes before I see the faces, cousins. I haven't spoken to since graduation, mom's junior league friends clutching champagne like life rafts, dad's old construction buddies in rented tuxes pretending they belong here. Aunt Linda spots me first. Mouth literally drops open. Riley Harper, the name ripples outward. Phones tilt. Someone Googles right there on the spot. Lauren mom is holding court near the grand staircase in a floor-length navy chiffon gown that probably cost more than my first car. She turns, smile frozen in that junior league perfect way, and the smile cracks clean in half. Riley, she says, voice pitched high like she's greeting a ghost. My goodness, I almost didn't recognize you. Her eyes flick over the dress, the diamonds. Ethan. Still working retail, sweetie. The courtyard goes dead quiet. You could hear a Kate Spade clutch drop. Ethan's hand tightens on mine. I smile, slow and sweet as iced tea. Actually, Mom, I own the company now. Several, in fact. Dad barrels over red-faced bourbon, already on his breath. He looks me up and down like I'm a contractor who showed up in a Lamborghini. Nice dress, he grunts. Rent the runway. I tilt my wrist so the diamonds throw light straight into his eyes. Gallia Le Havre couture, Dad. Custom. But I did rent the husband. I glance at Ethan. Turns out neurosurgeons are cheaper by the decade. A few nervous laughs from the peanut gallery. Before they can regroup, the bride appears. Maddie descends the staircase like she rehearsed it in a mirror for 6 months, which she definitely did. Monique Louier, mermaid gown, crystal-encrusted train long enough to mop the marble behind her. Hair extensions, lashes, contour sharp enough to cut glass. She looks like every Pinterest board labeled Southern Belle Wedding threw up on her and charged 6 figures. She stops 2 steps above me, so she can look down. Well, she drawls, Georgia peach with venom. So sweet of you to come. We invited you out of pity, you know. Didn't want people saying we forgot family. Translation. We wanted you here so everyone could see the cautionary tale in person. I tilt my head. Pity. Right. Tell me, Maddie, does pity pay for the open bar too? Her smile twitches. That's when Grayson Whitlock appears at her side, tall, blonde, Harvard MBA trust fund jawline. He's holding 2 flutes of champagne, about to hand one to Maddie when Ethan steps forward, calm as Sunday morning. Grayson, Ethan says, Charleston, the size of Texas. Ethan Caldwell. Pleasure. Grayson's eyes flick to me, then to Ethan, then to the Bentley key fob. Ethan is casually spinning on one finger. Caldwell. As in Caldwell Health System out of Charleston, Ethan smiles all teeth. The very same. My wife and I wanted to personally congratulate you. He reaches into his inside pocket, pulls out a single business card, thick cotton gold foil, my name, and hands it to Grayson like he's passing a loaded gun. Grayson reads it. Riley Harper Caldwell, founder and CEO, NexaHealth Atlanta, vertical bar, Charleston. His face goes the color of printer paper. Maddie snatches the card. This is a joke, right? Some Etsy fake you printed to feel important. I don't answer. I just watch Grayson's pupils dilate as the math clicks into place. Because yesterday, his father signed an $88 million contract with the woman standing in front of him in a dress that costs more than the floral installations currently dripping from every archway. Maddie is still talking, voice climbing. Seriously, Riley, you may need to sit down. All this pretending must be exhausting. Grayson grabs her elbow hard enough to make her flinch. Madison, he hisses low but not low enough. Shut up. Half the courtyard hears it. Phones are definitely recording now. He turns back to me, recovers just enough old money polish. Mrs. Caldwell, we'd be honored if you'd join us inside. My father will want to say hello. Translation. Please don't torpedo an $88 million deal in front of 300 of Atlanta's elite because my fiancé is an idiot. I smile, slow, sweet, lethal. Of course, I say. Lead the way. Maddie's face cycles through every shade of red in the Sherwin-Williams deck. As we walk past, Aunt Linda whispers loud enough for the entire portico to hear, Lord have mercy, that's the Harper girl who was on Forbes. Mom is clutching Dad's arm like she's about to faint. Dad looks like he just realized the house he built his entire identity on is sitting on sand. Ethan leans down, lips brushing my ear. Chapters closing, real pretty darlin'. I squeeze his hand. We step through the double doors into the Piedmont room, chandeliers blazing, 300 faces turning like a slow-motion wave. Round 1 goes to the girl they said would never amount to anything. Round 2 starts when they realize the girl is now the most powerful person in the room. And I haven't even opened the portfolio yet. Let the reception begin. The Piedmont room, 8:19 p.m. 300 of Atlanta's best-dressed people are sipping $300 a bottle Veuve while a 10-piece band plays at last. The chandeliers are dripping crystals and money. Everything smells like gardenias and desperation. Ethan and I are halfway across the marble floor when Grayson Whitlock appears out of nowhere, face the color of skim milk. He grabs Maddie's wrist so hard her champagne sloshes. Excuse us, he mutters to the crowd and practically drags her behind a 12-foot floral arch exploding with white roses. We're 10 feet away. We hear every word. Maddie, he hisses, voice cracking, your sister is Riley Harper Caldwell. The Riley Caldwell, the one whose lawyers have been ghosting us for 14 months on the sepsis pilot. Maddie tries to laugh it off. Gray baby, she's the CEO whose signature is on the $88 million contract my father signed yesterday. His voice cracks on the last word. Do you have any idea what you've done? That's when Charles Whitlock himself, CEO of Piedmont Healthcare, Grayson's father, Silver Fox in a midnight blue tux, spots me across the room. His eyes go wide like he just saw Jesus in a Gallia La Have gown. He abandons the governor's wife mid-sentence and beelines straight for us. Mrs. Caldwell. He pumps my hand like he's trying to draw water. Charles Whitlock. We met yesterday, of course, but I had no idea you were family. The word family lands like a brick. He turns to the crowd that has now formed a loose, hungry circle. Everybody, this is Riley Harper Caldwell, the future of hospital AI. Her technology is going to save thousands of lives a year in our system alone. Phones come out. Flashes pop. Someone actually starts slow clapping. Maddie steps forward, smile stretched so tight, I'm afraid her Botox will crack. Actually, Daddy, which she sings songs. This is my sister Riley. She dropped out of college. Married super well. We're all so proud. The circle titters nervously. I don't say a word. I just reach into my clutch, pull out the Navy portfolio and hand it to Charles Whitlock like I'm passing him a cocktail napkin. He opens it. Inside the fully executed master services agreement, gold seal still wet, my signature in black ink on every page. And the handwritten card on top, in case anyone is confused about who I am now. R. Charles's eyes scan the cover page. His face goes through the 5 stages of grief in 3 seconds flat. Grayson snatches the portfolio, flips to the signature page, sees the $88,000,000,000 figure. The champagne flute slips from his hand and explodes on the marble like a gunshot. Maddie tries again, louder. It's not a big deal, she probably just married some old rich guy and they gave her a fake title to Madison. Grayson's voice is deadly quiet. Tell me right now you actually work at Piedmont. Silence you could slice with the cake knife. A woman in a red dress near the bar, Piedmont's VP of HR, apparently already has her phone out, thumbs flying. She looks up, eyes huge. There is no employee record for a Madison Harper. Not current. Not ever. No badge. No email. No payroll. The circle gasps like it's a damn soap opera. Maddie's mouth opens and closes like a fish on the dock. Charles Whitlock turns the color of ash. Young lady, you have been representing yourself as a Piedmont executive for 8 months. Maddie's voice goes tiny. I was going to start after the wedding. Grayson stares at her like he's never seen her before. You told my father you had a master's from Vanderbilt. You told the board you were leading the patient experience overhaul. Tears start ruining $400 makeup. It was just a little white lie to Vanderbilt has no record of you either, the HR woman says, still scrolling. And the diploma on your LinkedIn is from Pacific Coast University. That school was shut down by the FBI last year for selling fake degrees. Someone in the back actually says, oh my God. Grayson takes one step back. Then another. The groom in front of 300 guests reaches into his pocket, pulls out the ring box and sets it gently on a nearby table like he's returning a library book. I'm sorry, he says to the room, voice steady but shaking. There will be no wedding tonight. The band stops mid-note, a violin bow squeaks. Maddie lunges for his arm. Gray baby, we can fix this, he shakes her off. You lied to me. You lied to my family. You lied to the entire company I'm supposed to help run one day. He looks at me, eyes hollow. Mrs. Caldwell, I apologize on behalf of my family. The contract stands. Obviously. He turns and walks straight out the side door. 2 groomsmen follow like bodyguards. Maddie stands alone in the middle of her $300,000 dream wedding, mascara rivers cutting through her contour veil askew. The floral arch behind her looks suddenly ridiculous. Mom rushes forward clutching pearls. Madison, honey, Maddie wheels on her. This is your fault. Both of you. You told me to present my best self. Dad just stares at the shattered champagne flute on the floor like it's his future. I finally speak, voice calm enough to cut glass. Maddie, you spent 9 years telling the world you were something you're not. Tonight the world just found out the truth. I turn to Charles Whitlock. Mr. Whitlock, I'll have my team send over the updated ethics clause Monday morning. We don't partner with organizations that can't verify their own people. His nod is immediate and grateful. Then I look at my parents one last time. You taught us both that some daughters are worth investing in and some aren't. Congratulations. You were right. I take Ethan's arm. We walk out the same doors Grayson just used. Behind us the ballroom erupts into the loudest silence I've ever heard. The chapter didn't just close. It slammed shut hard enough to rattle the chandeliers. And the girl they threw away, she never even raised her voice. 2 months after the wedding that never happened, Atlanta still talks about it like an urban legend. The story spread faster than flu season. Bride exposed for fake degree right before ring exchange. Groom walks out. 300 guest wedding implodes at the Street Regis. A livestream clip hit 42 million views in the first week. Number Piedmont wedding massacre trended for 3 days straight. Grayson Whitlock resigned as VP of Business Development at Piedmont Healthcare before the board could even meet. Now he's a consultant at a tiny fund in Charlotte, salary down 70%, and no one in Atlanta society invites him anywhere. Maddie Harper became that girl people whisper about every time they check out at the Kennesaw Publix. She works the afternoon cashier shift in a green polo scanning groceries with a frozen smile. I know because I stopped in once for water and stood in the next lane. She never looked up. I didn't speak. No need anymore. Dad's company Harper & Sons Construction collapsed in 6 weeks. 2 biggest contracts canceled the moment clients heard family of frauds. The bank foreclosed on the 5-bedroom ranch in Marietta I once called home. Mom and Dad moved into a ground-floor 2-bedroom apartment in Kennesaw next to the dumpsters. I know because it's public record. I never visited. Mom got kicked off every charity board and erased from the Country Club of the South guest list. Dad sold his F-150 Platinum to cover lawyer fees. They stopped talking to the extended family except when begging for money on numbers I've long blocked. I didn't smile when I heard. I didn't cry either. I just kept living. December 2024, the Caldwell Harper Foundation awarded 15 full-ride scholarships $75,000 each to 15 first-generation college students in Georgia. My name wasn't publicized. No interviews. Just a small plaque at the ceremony. For the kids who were told they weren't college material. An 18-year-old girl from Dalton, 4 gigapascals, working 2 jobs to feed her little brothers, got a full ride to UGA. She cried reading the letter. I watched the live stream from my office and cried a little in the bathroom. Ethan found me there, hugged me from behind, said nothing. That's the legacy I want. Not their collapse. The doors I opened for the kids who once stood exactly where I stood. New Year's Eve 2024, Atlanta is unseasonably cold. Ethan and I ride the private elevator to the penthouse rooftop in Midtown. The city spreads beneath us like a sea of LED lights. In the distance, I can still make out the direction of Marietta, just a tiny cluster of glow among millions of others. Ethan pours 2 glasses of champagne, hands me one. Happy almost New Year, Mrs. Caldwell. I clink his glass, then turn to the skyline and speak to all of you, to the girl I used to be, and to anyone watching this story. I didn't go to that wedding for revenge. I went to bury the version of me they tried to create. The girl who wasn't college material. The girl who would drop out and marry well. The girl they said would never amount to anything. I left her there in that ballroom under 300 shocked faces and a shattered champagne flute. She's gone. Forever. And in her place is the woman I actually became, because they refused to pay for my college, because they bet on the wrong daughter, because they taught me early that the only person I could ever count on was me. I built a company that saves lives. I married a man who sees me, really sees me. I opened doors for kids who were told the same lies I was. That's not revenge. That's becoming undeniable. I turn back to Ethan. He's smiling, eyes bright under the city lights. The best revenge, I say, voice soft but certain, isn't destruction. It's showing up as your full self in the exact room that tried to make you small and watching the room realize it was never big enough for you in the first place. I raise my glass one last time. To every kid working 3 jobs, sleeping in their car, eating ramen for dinner, studying on a cracked phone in the library after closing. To every first gen, every not college material, every girl they said would be better off marrying rich. This city is yours. This country is yours. The future is yours. They were wrong about me. They're wrong about you. Go build something they can't ignore. I drain the glass. Ethan kisses me as the first fireworks of the new year explode over Atlanta, gold and white and blazing. Below us, the city still shines. Above us, the night sky is vast and belongs to no one except those brave enough to believe they deserve it. The Harper family story ended in a shattered ballroom. Riley Harper Caldwell's story is just getting started. And this time I write the ending.